It was a freezing morning in Manhattan. The sharp click of hurried heels echoed across the marble floors of Mills and Gold Corporate, a place where every second was worth money, and every smile was carefully calculated. As executives rushed by with leather briefcases and the latest smartphones in hand, Emily, wearing faded blue overalls and rubber gloves, quietly wiped away coffee footprints from the lobby floor. No one noticed her. No one asked her name. She was just the cleaning lady. But behind those tired brown eyes, there was an entire world beating in 9 different languages, ready to break free. And fate was about to push her straight into the heart of a twist that would change lives, especially that of Michael, the CEO so used to leading without ever looking down at those who kept the foundation standing. The clock read 8:12 a.m. when Emily stepped into the reception area on the 27th floor, pushing her cleaning cart. The scent of burnt coffee mixed with the woodsy cologne of the executives, creating a stifling atmosphere of tension and hurry. As employees rushed off to their meetings, she wiped the white marble floor, her eyes subtly drifting to the monitor where Michael, the CEO, was prepping for a video conference with European investors. Emily spoke English as fluently as any New Yorker, but when she heard the clumsy, rushed French Michael was trying to read off his slides, her stomach twisted. He was butchering the grammar horribly. Without realizing it, she muttered under her breath, "Non, non, ça ne marche pas." "What?" Michael turned toward her, startled. Emily froze, her gloved hands tightening around the bucket. "I'm sorry, sir, I shouldn't have—" "You speak French?" Michael asked, confused. "A little," Emily stammered, avoiding his gaze. "A little," he repeated, suspicious. "Then tell me, how do I say 'we believe in the future' in French?" Emily took a deep breath, pushing down her fear. "Nous croyons au futur, sir, not vous croyez au futur." The European consultant on the other end of the call nodded with a subtle smile. "She's correct, Mr. Michael." Emily felt her face go hot, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Michael stared at her strangely, a mix of wounded pride and genuine surprise. "Emily, you really speak French?" "Yes, sir," she said softly. "Any other languages besides French?" Michael pressed, almost in disbelief. Emily hesitated, cheeks burning. "Spanish, German, Italian, Russian, Arabic, Mandarin, Portuguese, and Japanese." An uncomfortable silence spread across the meeting room. Even Sarah, Michael's assistant who had just rushed in, stood there slack-jawed. "You speak 9 languages besides English?" Emily nodded shyly. "That's unbelievable," Michael muttered, wiping a hand across his forehead. Sarah let out a nervous laugh. "But she's just the cleaning lady, Michael." Michael slowly turned towards Sarah, his expression shifting from irritation to something deeper, almost respectful. "No, she's not just anything," he declared firmly. Emily wanted to disappear. She could feel every eye on her, sharp as blades against her skin. But for the first time, her voice was being heard, even if it was still heavy with insecurity. Michael took a deep breath and turned back to her. "Emily, after this meeting, I need to speak with you." Her eyes widened, startled. "Me?" "You," Michael confirmed with a restrained smile. "Don't leave after your shift." Emily just nodded, a swirl of fear and hope blooming inside her chest. Was this a chance, or just another cruel twist of fate? Emily hadn't slept a wink that night. Michael's words thundered through her mind on repeat. "After the meeting, I need to talk to you." Fear tangled with a spark of hope, something she hadn't felt in years. At 6:45 a.m., Emily arrived at the corporate building. The New York sky was still washed in grey, the air heavy with the scent of impending rain. As she stepped inside, she caught the suspicious look from Sarah, the assistant, who was whispering to another employee at the reception. "Look who just walked in." Sarah muttered, not even trying to hide it. "Good morning," Emily said firmly, adjusting her uniform. "Mr. Michael asked you to go straight up to his office," Sarah replied with a half-smile that mixed scorn with curiosity. "Looks like you've got a fan." Emily swallowed hard, her heart tightening. She pushed her cleaning cart toward the elevator, taking a deep breath. When the doors opened, she rode up to the 27th floor, the fluorescent lights reflecting off the gleaming floor she herself had polished countless times. When she stepped into Michael's office, he was alone, without his usual arrogant air. He clutched a coffee mug like it was his last source of comfort in the world. "Emily," he began, trying to smile. "Thanks for coming." "I didn't really have a choice, sir," she replied, calm but polite. Michael awkwardly scratched at his patchy beard. "Yesterday, what you did was incredible. Do you realize how many people here don't even speak a second language, let alone 9? Emily lowered her gaze. "I studied hard in my country. It wasn't easy." "Where are you from, anyway?" Michael asked, genuinely interested. Emily drew in a slow breath. "Guatemala, sir. I arrived here 8 years ago." Michael nodded, processing it. "So you learned English after you got here, and still managed to keep all those other languages?" "I had to survive," she answered, meeting his eyes for the first time. "Language is a passport to not be invisible." Michael went quiet, touched by her words. "Emily, I want to make you an offer." Her eyes widened. "An offer?" "I need someone I can trust to review our international presentations, maybe even join me on some business trips. Of course, that would mean changing roles." Emily's legs nearly gave out. "You want to take me off cleaning duty?" "Yes," Michael confirmed. "But obviously I can't promise anything right away. You'd have to prove yourself to the rest of the board. You know how these things work." Emily bit her lip, nervous. "I'm scared, sir. They won't accept me easily." Michael sighed. "I know, but maybe we can face them together." At that moment, the door swung open without warning, and Sarah barged in, looking like she'd overheard more than she should have. "Sorry to interrupt," she said coolly, "but you have an important meeting in 10 minutes, Michael." He nodded. "Thank you, Sarah. I'll be right there." Sarah shot Emily a frosty glare, then turned back to Michael. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, nearly whispering. "I am," he replied firmly. A shiver ran down Emily's spine. That woman wouldn't be easy to deal with, but for the first time she saw a spark of opportunity in the eyes of someone with real power. As she stepped out of the office, Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing wildly. She could hardly believe it. An immigrant cleaning lady, now being considered to work alongside the CEO. It couldn't be real. But maybe, just maybe, it was the start of a new destiny. Emily stepped off the 27th floor, still struggling to believe what she'd just heard. The hallway was empty, except for the distant hum of printers and ringing phones. The polished floor reflected her like a warped mirror. A woman in a faded blue uniform, carrying a mind fluent in 9 languages, ready to bloom. When she entered the locker room to change her gloves, her legs felt like jelly. She leaned against the metal cabinet, breathing heavily. Her hands trembled, panic mixing with a small flicker of hope. Could this really be happening? Would Michael truly give her this chance? Or was it just another fleeting whim from someone touched for a moment, only to forget soon after? "Emily?" a familiar voice called. It was Rosa, another cleaning worker, also an immigrant from Mexico. "Are you okay, amiga? You look so pale." Emily took a deep breath. I got an offer from the boss." "An offer?" Rosa's eyes went wide. "What kind of offer?" "He wants me to help with international meetings. As an interpreter, I think." Rosa's eyes grew even wider, gripping her broom as if she might fall over. "You're going to work in the office?" Emily shrugged, fearful. "He said he'd try, but he didn't promise anything." "Amiga, that's incredible." Rosa smiled, emotional. "You deserve this." Emily lowered her gaze, shy. "I don't know if I can do it, Rosa. I'm scared to put myself out there." "You've been through worse, Emily," Rosa said, squeezing her hand firmly. "Don't let anyone dim your talent." Rosa's words felt like a balm on Emily's heart. She drew a deep breath and stepped out, determined to keep going with her shift as usual. After all, until further notice, she was still a cleaner, and she needed that paycheck to cover rent and send money to her mother in Guatemala. At lunchtime, Michael called for her again. The office was full of anxious voices and non-stop ringing phones. Sarah shot her a look full of thinly veiled hatred, but Emily stood tall, every step feeling heavy. "Emily," Michael said, clearing a space at the conference table, "I want you to review these documents in French, Spanish, and German. The client arrives tomorrow, and we can't repeat last time's mistakes." She sat down carefully, aware of every pair of eyes on her. "Okay, sir. I'll try." "Not try," Michael gently corrected her. "I want you to do it. I trust you." Sarah cleared her throat, almost laughing. "With all due respect, sir, she doesn't have a local degree, no formal resume." Michael shot her a deadly glare. "I'm the CEO of this company, Sarah. Emily is going to get her chance to prove her skills, period." Emily swallowed hard. No one had ever spoken up for her like that before. A strange warmth rose in her chest, like the beginning of a miracle. She started going through the printed spreadsheets. Every translated phrase, every corrected verb, her mind worked like a living computer. For an instant, Emily felt powerful. At the end of the workday, Michael came over again. The office was quieter now, the lights throwing long shadows across the glass. "Emily, can I walk you to the subway?" he asked, almost shy. "You want to walk me?" she asked, surprised. "Yes, we need to talk," he said, adjusting his blazer. They walked together through the crowded lobby. Several co-workers stared in shock, whispering rumors. Emily felt the weight of their gazes like thorns against her skin. When they reached the lobby, Michael spoke in a low voice. "I know it's hard to believe, but I really want to give you this opportunity. I came from nothing too, Emily. My dad was a bus driver, and no one respected me when I started." She blinked, surprised. "You went through that?" "I did," he confirmed, with a bittersweet smile. "That's why I can recognize when someone deserves to be seen." Emily felt tears burn at the corners of her eyes, but she held them back. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, emotional. "Just promise me you won't give up," Michael said, extending his hand. She looked at that strong hand, scarred from building his own success, and shook it gently. "I promise, sir." At that moment, across the street, Sarah was watching them through the window on the 27th floor, her face twisted with envy. She held her phone in her hand, dialing an unknown number. "Hello?" she said coldly. "We need to talk. We have a problem." Emily's destiny was only beginning to shift, but silent threats were already gathering on the horizon. The next day dawned rainy in Manhattan, heavy clouds draping the tall buildings like a grey shroud. Emily woke up early, her mind still spinning with all of Michael's words from the night before. She could still feel the weight of that promise pressing on her chest, the chance to finally prove who she truly was. On the crowded subway, she gripped the metal pole tightly, trying not to let fear take over. "You can't fail," she repeated to herself like a mantra. Meanwhile, across town, Sarah was already working behind the scenes, determined to crush the cleaning lady who dared to dream too big. At the company, Emily arrived early to review the last documents Michael had given her. The office was still quiet, monitors on standby, the smell of fresh coffee floating through the air. "Good morning," Michael said, appearing behind her. "Good morning, sir," Emily replied, jumping up. "Relax," he smiled. "Today we'll meet with the European client, and you'll help me in the meeting, just like we planned." Emily's stomach flipped. I've never been in a meeting like this before." "No problem," Michael reassured her, confident. "I'll be right there with you." But Sarah, standing in the doorway, couldn't resist taking a jab. "Michael, are you sure this is a good idea, trusting someone without a degree from here?" Emily lowered her eyes, but Michael didn't even hesitate. "I'm absolutely sure, Sarah." Sarah took a deep breath, forcing a fake smile, and left, but her eyes burned with venomous rage, ready to explode. Minutes later, Sarah cornered Emily in the hallway, faking sympathy. "Emily, can I give you a piece of advice?" she asked, smiling almost sweetly. "Of course," Emily answered, wary. "You don't belong here," Sarah whispered, her words dripping with poison. "They'll crush you at your first mistake. Better go back to your bucket and mop before you get hurt." Emily's throat went dry. I don't want trouble, Sarah." "Then don't make trouble," Sarah snapped, turning away coldly. Emily took a deep breath, holding back tears, and went back to the meeting room. The client had already arrived, a tall, elegant man with a strong French accent, named Louis Marchand. He greeted her politely, surprised to see the interpreter. "Mr. Marchand, this is Emily," Michael introduced, confident. "She'll be helping us today." "Enchanted, mademoiselle," Louis said, gently shaking her hand. "You're lucky to have someone so talented." Emily smiled, still shy. "Merci, monsieur. Je ferai de mon mieux." Michael swelled with pride hearing Emily's flawless French. The meeting kicked off, full of technical details, tense negotiations, and multi-million-dollar figures. Emily translated every word, every nuance, with surgical precision. Michael realized that without her, he would have made serious mistakes again. At the end of the meeting, Louis Marchand shook Michael's hand, smiling in satisfaction. "Congratulations, monsieur, and please, take good care of this rare gem," he said, pointing to Emily. Michael laughed proudly. "Count on it." Emily felt like she was floating. It was as if, finally, someone saw who she really was. But across the hallway, Sarah watched in silence, her face twisted with hate. When the meeting ended, she barged into the room and slammed a folder down on Michael's desk. "Michael, we need to talk," she said firmly. "About what?" he replied, impatient. "About the risk you're taking putting this cleaning lady into business meetings. If this goes wrong, it'll all be on you." Michael stood up, serious. "Then it'll be on me, and I don't want to hear that word in here again." He pointed at her, firm. "Cleaning lady, her name is Emily." Sarah clenched her jaw, speechless. She stormed out, slamming the door, phone already in her hand. "Hello?" she said coldly, dialing someone. "I need your help. We have to take her down before it's too late." Emily, standing outside, only caught a faint echo of Sarah's words, without fully understanding. But a chill ran through her body. She could sense something dark closing in, like a storm cloud about to break over her head. The late afternoon cast a pale light through the office windows, painting the walls in a nearly melancholic shade. Emily was still reviewing notes when Michael stepped out to take an urgent call. The moment of calm lasted only a few minutes until Sarah appeared in the doorway, wearing a smile so fake it looked stuck on her face. "Emily, can we talk?" she said, with a forced sweetness. Emily froze but tried to stay polite. "Of course, Sarah. Come here, please," Sarah gestured toward a secluded corner near the copy room. Emily followed hesitantly, her heart pounding. Sarah leaned against the counter, arms crossed, and let her venom flow. "You're digging your own grave, you know that?" "Why?" Emily stammered, confused. "Because you're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong," Sarah whispered, cold as ice. "People like you don't get anywhere. That little talent story won't last." Emily took a deep breath, her palms sweaty. "I'm not trying to take anything from anyone. I just want to work with dignity." "Then you should know your place," Sarah snapped, stepping so close that Emily could smell her citrusy perfume. "You will fall, and I'll make sure of it." A chill ran down Emily's spine, but she tried to stand tall. "I won't give up, Sarah." "We'll see," Sarah hissed, turning away like a satisfied snake. That night, Emily went home exhausted, her mind weighed down with doubts. Her tiny apartment in Queens felt even smaller, suffocating, as if the walls contained all the fear she couldn't say out loud. She called her mother, trying to hold back tears as she spoke in Spanish. "Mamá, hoy fue muy difícil," she confessed. "Emily, no te rindas," her mother replied firmly. "Eres más fuerte que ellos." Emily sighed, pressing the phone against her ear. "Gracias, mamá. Te extraño tanto." "Aquí siempre te esperamos, hija," her mother answered, her voice trembling. Her mother's words felt like a distant hug, warming her heart. Emily took a deep breath and decided she wouldn't give in to Sarah's terror. The next day, the office was buzzing with rumors. Sarah had spread gossip, claiming Emily had faked her language certificates, calling her a fraud. As soon as Emily arrived, she felt the weight of people's stares, as if each one carried a stone ready to throw at her. Michael called her into the glass-walled office. He looked serious, holding some papers. "Emily, can we talk?" he said in a restrained tone. "Of course, sir," she replied, tense. Michael laid some printed documents on the table. "I got an alert from HR. Someone questioned the authenticity of your language certificates. Can you prove they're real?" Emily felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. "Sir, I have all my diplomas at my apartment. I can bring them tomorrow." Michael nodded calmly. "I believe you, but I'll need those documents." "I'll bring them," Emily answered, determined, even with her heart racing. Sarah, on the other side of the glass, watched with a cruel smile, savoring what she thought was Emily's downfall. As Emily left the office, she took a deep breath, her throat tight. Could she win this dirty war? She thought of Rosa, of her mother, of every sacrifice she'd made. Then she remembered Michael's words, "I'll be there with you." That gave her strength. That night, as she went through her old folders, she found all her certificates intact, guarded like treasures from an entire lifetime. She ran her fingers over the yellowed paper, remembering every effort, every night class, every tear shed to learn those languages. "I fought for this," she whispered to herself. "No one will take it away from me." But far away, Sarah was on the phone, conspiring in a low voice. "Tomorrow I'll finish the job. That cleaning lady won't survive my plan." The danger was only beginning, and Emily would have to be stronger than ever, not to be crushed. The Manhattan sky woke up clear, but for Emily, everything still felt grey. She arrived at the company early, clutching a blue folder to her chest as if it were a shield. Inside were all her certificates, living proof of how hard she had fought to master each language she spoke. In the elevator, her legs shook. Sarah stepped in right behind her, her strong citrus perfume nearly suffocating. "So, ready to go back to your mop and bucket?" she sneered, wearing that poisonous smile. Emily took a deep breath, trying to ignore her. "I'm just here to prove the truth." "Truth?" Sarah laughed quietly. "Truth doesn't matter here, sweetheart. Only power does." The elevator stopped on the 27th floor, and Emily stepped out, feeling Sarah's icy gaze burning into her back. Michael was already waiting for her in the glass office, tense, adjusting his tie nervously. "Emily, did you bring the documents?" "Yes, sir," she said, handing him the folder. Her hands were shaking so badly he noticed. "Don't worry," he said in a reassuring tone. "I'll check them personally." While Michael went through each diploma, Emily tried to calm her pounding heart. Memories flooded her mind. Nights studying until she collapsed from exhaustion, headaches, missing her mother, the odd jobs she'd worked to survive. Every certificate was a piece of her story, and no one had the right to destroy it. Michael looked up, surprised. "Emily, this is incredible. These are internationally recognized certificates. Why didn't you ever tell anyone?" Emily lowered her eyes, emotional. "No one ever asked, sir." Michael took a deep breath, moved. "I'm going to file these and protect you from any accusation. You can trust me." But Sarah wasn't giving up so easily. She met secretly with 2 board directors, playing her final cards. "This woman cannot be trusted," she insisted, showing them manipulated emails. "She'll ruin the company's reputation." One of the directors scratched his beard. "Sarah, are you sure about this?" "Absolutely," she lied, flashing a cynical smile. "She's dangerous." The next day, Michael called a company-wide meeting to announce that Emily would officially join the international support team. The room filled with surprised voices, looks of admiration, and a few envious stares. Emily felt lighter, as if she could finally breathe. But Sarah, at the back of the room, clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her skin. "This isn't over," she muttered to herself. Out in the hallway, Rosa rushed toward Emily, overjoyed. "Emily, you did it!" "I haven't done it yet, Rosa. But I took the first step," Emily said, smiling through tears. "You deserve it." Rosa hugged her tightly, feeling the dampness of sweat and tears on her uniform. "Don't let anyone stop you, amiga." At the end of the day, Sarah put her final move into play. She called a mysterious contact outside the company, speaking quietly. "Is everything ready?" she asked, tense. "Yes," the voice on the other end replied. "Tomorrow she'll regret ever dreaming so big." Sarah smiled, cruel, savoring what she thought was certain victory. "Perfect," she murmured. Meanwhile, across town, Emily stared out the subway window, watching the nightlights blur past like a movie of her own life. She thought of Michael, of Rosa, of her mother far away. She thought of Sarah and the blind hatred chasing her. "I won't give up," she told herself, gripping the folder with her documents tight. "No one will knock me down again." The next day would bring a trap that could be fatal, and Emily had no idea what was waiting for her. The new day started off busy at the office. The building buzzed with voices, hurried footsteps, people coming and going with folders in hand and phones glued to their ears. Emily, still wearing her cleaning uniform, felt something different in the air. For the first time, co-workers greeted her, a bit awkwardly, but recognizing her talent. But Sarah wasn't ready to give up. She had already prepared her final blow. When Emily stepped onto the 27th floor, she sensed something off. Sarah was standing next to Michael, holding a tablet like it was a loaded weapon. "Emily, can we talk?" Michael said, his tone cold, so different from the day before. Emily froze. "Of course, sir." Sarah stepped closer, looking smug. "This morning we received an anonymous tip saying you falsified banking data to accept bribes from a foreign supplier." Emily's eyes went wide, the world spinning around her. "What? I never—" Michael let out a heavy sigh. "I don't want to believe this, Emily. But I have to investigate. You know how much this company values ethics." "Sir, this is a lie!" Emily nearly shouted, desperate. "I never stole a single penny." "Then prove it," Sarah shot back, venomous. "Open your bank account. Show us your statements." Emily's body shook. It was humiliating to have to display every cent she owned like a criminal. "You want to see my account?" she murmured, her voice breaking. It's the least you can do, Sarah replied mercilessly. Michael tried to soften the blow. Emily, I trust you, but I need to protect myself too. Please help us clear this up. Crying with shame, Emily opened her banking app and showed the screen. The nearly empty balance, small transfers to her mother in Guatemala, rent, groceries, nothing suspicious, nothing that could stain her honesty. Michael studied the data in silence, his heart heavy. There's nothing here, he finally said, relieved. You're clean. Sarah forced a tense smile. Maybe it was a mistake. A mistake, Emily exploded, unable to hold back her rage. You exposed me. You tried to destroy me. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to hold her composure. I was only doing my duty to protect the company. Michael slammed his hand on the table, furious. Sarah, this has gone too far. Emily is part of this team now, and any more unproven accusations will have consequences. Understood? Sarah lowered her head, unable to face her boss, but inside she burned with hate. Emily left the room with her heart in pieces. Rosa came running when she saw her. What happened? She asked, worried. They accused me of stealing, Emily choked out, her voice raw. Oh my God, amiga. But I proved the truth, Emily wiped her tears, and I won't let this stop me. That night, Sarah cried alone at home. She hated Emily, but deep down, she hated herself even more. She was terrified of losing her status, her high salary, the comfortable position she'd built by stepping over others, and the very thought of seeing a cleaning lady rise above her was unbearable. She won't win, she whispered to the mirror, her eyes red with rage. I swear I won't let her. Meanwhile, Emily arrived at her tiny apartment exhausted but relieved. She hugged the old uniform still hanging in her closet, breathing in the scent of cleaning products she had grown to hate, but that had kept her alive for so long. I'm stronger than this, she told herself, staring firmly into the mirror. I will not give up. She had no idea, but fate still held the greatest test of all for her, one that could change her life forever. Monday dawned heavy, the sky covered with clouds as dark as Emily's heart. She arrived at the office early, believing that finally things would be okay. She had cleared her name from the theft accusation, proven her honesty, and even gained the respect of a few colleagues. But nothing could have prepared her for the blow Sarah had planned. As soon as she stepped onto the 27th floor, Emily sensed something was wrong. People were whispering, avoiding eye contact, murmuring in low tones. When she passed reception, Sarah was waiting with a smug, almost triumphant smile. Good morning, Emily, she said, dripping with poison. Good morning, Emily replied, trying not to shake. Michael wants to see you now. Emily swallowed hard. The hallway felt endless on her way to the glass office, where Michael stood with a grim expression, holding a thick stack of papers. Emily, have a seat, he said, his voice cold, so different from before. Sir, did something happen? Michael rubbed his forehead, clearly troubled. We got a report pointing to a serious error in one of the translations you reviewed. What do you mean? Emily's voice trembled. I went over everything so carefully. Well, according to this file, you swapped important clauses in an international contract, which could cause almost $2 million in losses, he said, throwing the report onto the table. Emily picked up the papers, her hands shaking. This can't be true. I would never make a mistake like that. The board is furious, Michael went on, voice cracking. They want to suspend you until this is sorted out. Emily felt her breath vanish. Sir, I swear, I didn't make any mistake. I want to believe you, Emily, but I need proof, he said sadly. Sarah, standing at the door, couldn't hide her victorious grin. See, she whispered, as Emily left the room in shock. You dug your own grave. Emily turned to her, tears in her eyes. Oh, why do you hate me so much? Because you're a threat, Sarah shot back cold before walking away. Emily wandered down the hallway, aimless, her legs heavy, her mind spinning. How could she prove she hadn't done anything wrong? Who would believe her now? Suddenly, a gentle hand touched her shoulder. It was Louis Marchand, the French client, who had trusted her from the very first day. "Emily, may I talk to you?" "Mr. Marchand," she tried to hold back her tears. "They want to suspend me." "I know," he said calmly, locking eyes with her, "but I don't believe these accusations." "How can I prove it?" Emily sobbed, desperate. "Let me help," Louis said firmly. "I have copies of the original emails, and I can review the contract with you. If someone sets you up, we'll find it." Emily's eyes widened, stunned. "You'd do that for me?" "You saved my business," Louis replied with a kind smile. "Now it's my turn to help save your future." At the end of the workday, Louis took her to a quiet coffee shop, away from curious eyes. "Emily, look at this," he said, showing her files on his tablet. "Do you recognize the original text?" Emily read every line, her heart racing, her eyes locked on the controversial clause. "This was edited," she murmured. "Someone changed the words after I reviewed it." "Exactly," Louis confirmed. "And I can testify for you." Emily took a deep breath, feeling a wave of relief mixed with fear. "But the board won't listen to me. They trust Sarah." "Then we'll take it as far as we have to," Louis said, determined. "If needed, we'll go to court." Meanwhile, Sarah was taking a mysterious phone call in her office, far from everyone. "It's all set," she said coldly. "If Emily tries to fight back, I have another file ready to finish her off for good." A voice on the other end laughed. "You play dirty, girl." "I don't play," Sarah replied icily. "I win." That night, Emily arrived at her tiny apartment exhausted, but with a spark of hope reignited. Someone finally believed in her, and that was enough to keep fighting. "I won't stop," she whispered, staring at her reflection in the subway window as the city lights blurred past. "I won't stop until I prove who I am." Tomorrow would bring a new battle, but this time, Emily wouldn't be alone. The day dawned heavy in Manhattan, with a cold wind cutting through the narrow streets of the financial district. Emily walked toward the Mills and Gold corporate building, holding her breath as if carrying a bomb inside her chest. Beside her, Louis Marchand spoke softly, trying to calm her down. "Don't worry, Emily," he said. "I'll speak in front of everyone if I have to." "And what if no one believes me?" Emily murmured, fear in her eyes. "Then we'll take it to court," Louis insisted firmly. "I won't let you fall." When they arrived on the 27th floor, the atmosphere was like a battlefield. The company's board was meeting behind closed doors, and Sarah, proud and composed, prowled like a victorious lioness, handing out fake smiles and firm handshakes. When she saw Emily walk in, her gaze turned to pure poison. "Came to say goodbye?" she sneered. Emily took a deep breath. "I came to fight." Inside the boardroom, Michael was trying to keep things under control, but the tension was thick. "Before we make any decisions," he said, slamming his hand on the table, "I want everyone to hear from Emily." Sarah sighed impatiently. "Michael, she's defended herself enough. This is a waste of time." "I said I want to hear," he shot back, firm. Emily stood up, her voice shaking but determined. "I didn't make any mistake in that contract, and I can prove it." "Yeah, prove it?" one board member mocked. "You want to challenge our audit?" "I do," Emily replied, surprising even herself with her courage. "Because I know someone tampered with the files after I reviewed them." Louis stepped into the room, holding his tablet like a sword. "I can confirm that," he said solemnly. "I have copies of the original material Ms. Emily translated." The board members exchanged tense looks. Sarah went pale on the spot. "This is ridiculous," she shouted. "He doesn't even work for the company." "But he is part of the contract," Michael countered firmly. "He has every right to be heard." Louis projected the files on the screen. He showed dates, times, digital signatures. Line by line, he proved that Emily hadn't made any mistake. The altered text had come from a different login on the system, registered to Sarah's computer. A deadly silence fell over the room. Sarah tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. "This is a lie. You're framing me," she stammered. Michael stood up, ice cold. "Sarah, explain this, now!" Sarah felt the ground fall away. It was a mistake. You tried to destroy Emily," Michael accused, furious. "You betrayed everyone's trust here." Emily was breathing so hard she almost fainted. A wave of relief exploded in her chest, tears running down her face. "I told the truth," she whispered, conquering her fear. Louis smiled at her, proud. "You didn't deserve any of this." The board decided to remove Sarah immediately. She left the room escorted by security, her face twisted, unable to fight back. Emily watched with a mix of sadness and compassion. "I don't hate you," she murmured softly as Sarah was taken away. "I only fought for my right to exist." Later that day, in the office, Michael came over to Emily with a genuine smile. "You're one of the bravest people I've ever met," he said, emotional. "I just didn't want to be invisible again," Emily answered, wiping away tears. "And you never will be," Michael promised. "I want to offer you a permanent role on the international communications team, full salary, full benefits, and the chance to travel the world." Emily felt her legs go weak. Is this real?" "It's more than real," he assured her. "You deserve it." She hugged Rosa in the hallway, still unable to believe it. "Rosa, I did it." "I knew it, amiga," Rosa cried with her, overjoyed. "You're an inspiration to everyone who's ever fought." As night fell over New York, Emily rode home, watching the city lights flash past through the subway window. This time she felt no fear. She felt strong. "I won," she whispered to herself, smiling. "And I'm going to start over." But fate still had a surprising epilogue in store, a new mission that could transform not only her life, but the lives of so many other invisible people. The New York sun seemed to shine brighter that morning. Emily walked through the entrance of the Mills and Gold corporate building like a completely different person. She was no longer the invisible cleaning lady. Now she was a respected professional, her talents recognized, ready to fly. Michael was waiting for her at reception, smiling, holding a folder with her new contract. "Congratulations, Emily," he said proudly. "Today you officially join the international team." She took a deep breath, her heart bursting with joy. "Thank you, sir, for believing in me." "You were the one who believed in yourself," he replied kindly. "I just saw what was already there." Rosa came running over, hugging Emily tightly. "You look amazing! Look at you, all elegant!" Emily smiled, adjusting her new clothes. "I'm still getting used to it, but it feels like a dream." "It's more than a dream," Rosa said, emotional. "It's your victory." Later, at the onboarding meeting, Michael introduced Emily to her new team, who applauded her with respect. Among her new colleagues were people from different cultures, diverse voices, and countless talents. And Emily felt something ignite inside her, a spark of a greater purpose. When the meeting ended, Emily went up to Michael, determined. "Sir, can I make a suggestion?" "Of course, Emily, go ahead." "I'd like to help create a training program for other cleaning staff, security, reception, so they also have the chance to grow." Michael's eyes went wide in surprise. "That would be incredible. Do you want to lead it?" "I do," Emily said firmly. "No one deserves to be invisible." The following months were transformative. Emily organized courses, workshops, and mentoring programs within the company, giving other forgotten employees a chance to show their talents and reach new positions. Her story inspired not only the entire building, but also other companies in the industry. Louis Marchand, still in contact with her, invited her to translate at conferences in Europe, and Emily began traveling to represent Mills and Gold, a cleaning lady who not so long ago no one even saw, now respected around the world. One rainy afternoon, Emily returned to the 27th floor just to visit the old locker room where she used to keep her blue uniform. She picked up the faded fabric, inhaled the scent of soap and sweat, and smiled with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, as if thanking herself. "I couldn't have made it here without remembering where I came from." On her way out, she found Rosa cleaning a window and hugged her tightly. "You're going to be next," Emily told her with conviction. "You really think so?" Rosa smiled shyly. "I'm sure of it," Emily said, holding her hands firmly. "The world needs people like us, Rosa, people who don't give up." That night, Emily looked up at the New York sky, feeling the cool breeze on her face, and smiled like someone who finally believed in their own worth. "My place," she said softly, "is wherever I choose to be." And for the first time, there was no fear, no doubt, only courage. And you? Have you ever thought about how many Emilys there are in the world? Leave your thoughts in the comments, share this story to inspire others, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of hope and resilience.